Alright, so previously we finished off with the node label customization. In this video, we're going to be going through the tooltip plus toolbar settings. First things first, as always, within the sample report, you already have your pre-configured variation where you can play around with the tooltip plus the toolbar items. In this case, I'm actually going to be using the same visual to showcase all these elements. Now, first things first, I'm going to select the visual and go into the formatting options. I'm going to open up the tooltip settings right here, and you can see we have two settings that we can adjust, the type and the hyperlink length. Yes, the custom tooltip does support active hyperlinks. So you can simply provide a URL into the tooltip content field, and that has become an active link that you can use for external navigation. You can even use a little bit of HTML and actually provide a hyperlink with a display name. This is going to speed up the process of readability. Instead of having, the regular link, you actually might say, for example, click here for additional information or something like that. Now, the other option that we have here is the Power BI Tooltip. To showcase both of these tooltips, we're going to use custom tooltip first. We're going to right click on one of the nodes, and you can see this brings out a tooltip. Within the tooltip, you have all the information that you have provided in the tooltip content field. Whereas there are also some additional settings, things like hide node, expand on that node, or full expansion if you have multiple layers of hierarchy. Now, if we close this and change this to the Power BI built-in tooltip, you can see that something else that I can do here is instead of right-clicking on a node, I can simply hover over the node to get the information regarding the node. What you don't get with this is the ability to use hyperlinks, so choose wisely. Now, we're going to change this back to the custom tooltip, and we're going to close the tooltip tab. The next thing we're going to be covering is going to be the toolbar. Within the toolbar, we actually have quite a bit of items. So those items are going to be the zoom control, fit to screen, back, reset, expand all, collapse all, expansion direction, save state, display mode, explore, unhide nodes, search, and also a dark mode. Now, dark mode is the first one I'm going to cover. What it does is once you enable it, it converts all toolbar items into a lighter version of them. This is going to be really useful for those cases when you have dark backgrounds. Now, starting from the top, if we go right here, we have the zoom control. So we're going to go right here onto the chart and actually go through these items. But before we go there, I want to cover one specific thing. The toolbar items are actually driven by the initial display mode. So for example, right here, we have an item that allows you to switch between the modes. Right now, I'm using a focus mode. If I click on this, it's going to go into the show all mode. And you can see that half of the items that I have here have actually disappeared. So this allows you to see, for example, certain items in one mode and not those in the another one. So basically, why this is happening? It's because in the show all mode, you don't have the capabilities of expansion, collapse, for example, to open up it forward, backwards, or a few other things. And that's because the show all, as the name already says, it's showing every single node. So there's no reason for that. Once we go back into the focus node, this becomes really applicable. Now, going forward with the items, the zoom slider. The zoom slider works pretty basically. You move it up or down to physically move in or out of the chart. Now, the next item is going to be fit to screen. This is going to be really useful for those cases where you have a lot of nodes to display because it essentially repositions the chart and zooms out to make sure that you see everything that's supposed to be visible. An example of this is right here. I zoom in right here and you can see half of the nodes are not visible. So if I click on this, it's going to zoom out, reposition the chart so I can see all the nodes. Now, the next item is going to be back, which is going to take you one step back in the navigation, meaning that if you have done an expansion or something like that, you can undo that action. Now, the next one is going to be reset. This is going to be used for those cases where you have applied filters from additional settings or through different visuals. Now, the next two items are going to be expand all. So once you click on it, it expands on the whole chart. And the other option is collapse. Once you do that, it closes down to the very basics of it, which is the focus node. Now, the next item is actually the expansion direction. By default, this is source to target. if you click on this, you can see the icon kind of just rotated. So now it's target to source. If you click on it again, it's in both directions. This defines what happens on a node if you have connections going in and out or connections going up or down in a level. Now, the next item is going to be the actual lock state or save state. What happens in these situations is I'm just going to quickly open up some additional levels, right? And what you can do here is you can physically move the nodes around. Let's say I actually wanted to achieve something like this. And when I click the save state, it's going to save the position of the nodes so that next time when I open up the report, the nodes are going to be in exactly the same position. Now, the next item we already covered, that's going to be the mode switch. So show all or focus nodes. And the last item here is the explore mode. So what happens with the explore mode is, for example, if I click on C, you can see that it expands, right? But because we had the hierarchy, it kind of looks a little bit clunky right now. But it's the principle that we're showing. So it opens it up, and if I click on it again, it closes it. Now, if I disable the explore mode, I can click on C again, but it's not opening anything up. That is because in this case, you are only applying a filter on top of the node. So these options allow you to achieve more with the drill down visual. All right, that's going to be it for the tooltip and toolbar customization, and I'll see you in the next video.